There's this lie, something just smashed down behind me that keeps creeping in, that a good dad, a good provider, need to still stay healthy. And you've got to sacrifice sleep. You've got to sacrifice your time in the gym or miss the moments that matter. But it's not an either or thing. And that's something we're going to talk about tonight on the Fit Fatherhood podcast, how we're fitting these things together. What we like to do actually is merge our daily actions together. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about how we combine fitness and family and nutrition and family. We're going to kind of deviate from specifically talking about nutrition and diet and specifically talking about movement. We're going to talk about how we combine the two and time block. I'm Nathaniel Zack. Sorry for the crashing, banging happening behind me. I'm a family man, as you may or may not know. My partner, Zach Bush, is joining me. I'm glad to be back, brother.
It's good to have you back. And I didn't hear anything going on in the background, which is weird, because I feel like usually I hear every little thing that's happening. So,
yeah. I got the microphone fixed. That's what happened. Yeah.
Did you actually?
Yeah. So I think it was, you can't see on the table behind me because of my virtual background. That flower doesn't exist, but there is a pill bottle, and I think it just magically fell off. No, Brittany's behind me. But tonight we're talking about some of the ways that we combine our activities together. You know, we called it Fit Fatherhood. It kind of serves two purposes. Fitness, right? That's what we're focused on. Fitness, health, nutrition, exercise, movement, but also fitting it into fatherhood, fitting it into being a husband and a father and just a family man, a busy professional, a busy career-driven person. And so I'm curious some of the ways that you like to fit your activities in.
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned kind of integrating them. So there's two ways that I do it, right? First way is my own time to myself to work out and get my fitness in. And that, unfortunately, is 5 a.m. That's just before everybody's up, before everything is going, getting up and getting it done. And it took some time to adjust. And of course, I started doing that, switch schedules with my wife in the wintertime. So not ideal, getting up cold, dark, all that stuff. Not a great time to switch to the early morning stuff. So if you are going to think about how can I fit my time in and doing it in the morning, now is the time of year to get into that, because it's a lot easier to get up. So that's how I do it. I get up early, get it done. I wouldn't say I perform the best in the morning, because I do every once in a while like to push it, but because it's 5 a.m. But it is so nice having it done that early and not having to worry about when am I going to fit it in. I can come home, like pick my son up on the way home from work, and I can just focus on that and not have to worry about or feel guilty missing the workout. So that's one way that I do it, is to kind of just get up early, get it done. The other way is trying to integrate it. Now, I don't do full workouts with, my son and my wife, but, when she gets back from the gym in the afternoon, we'll go for a walk with the dog. So we'll go around the neighborhood, 10, 15-minute walk. Now that it's getting warmer out, we'll run around in the yard, throw the ball with the dog and stuff like that. So just kind of, making it fun. My son's 2, so he can't really do anything other than just sprint around in the yard. So it's like me just chasing after him, that kind of thing. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that it's really just integrating it. And for us with the dog, it's just easy to walk, just to go around the neighborhood, like I said, 10, 15 minutes, it's just, he has a good time. Me and my wife can talk when there's no TV, there's no phones. It's just a nice way to get outside and walk around. So just integrating it. That's where we are right now. As the kids get older, being able to play sports with them and throw the ball around and do that will be something we'll start integrating more.
Yeah. If anybody out there follows my Instagram and YouTube, my personal YouTube channel, you might see that I'm a big stroller pusher. I'm not a huge runner. I did set myself a goal to run 40 times the specific run this year. I like some of the benefits that running gives me. But I've been pushing this stroller since Harlan was born. Well, 6 months. So I've been pushing him by himself. Then when Huxley was born, I started pushing both of them in a dual stroller. So I do sprint workouts with them typically. I'll do a run with them typically. And then, like you're saying, just going out and getting walks with them. I love throwing them up in the air. You would be surprised what a minute of throwing a, toddler up in the air can do. Ooh, man, my legs are shot. My shoulders are starting to get tired, and then you can put them on your shoulders. And like you said, you're not going to get a full workout, but doing a minute of squats with a 40-pound kid on your shoulders, it's taxing. And one of the things that I love doing, and the boys love, is just playing chase around the house. Like, we'll run around this fireplace behind us. It's a nice little way to do that. And just like wrestle with them on the floor. And like, yes, it's not a full workout, but I am getting movement in, and I'm like, do that for a few minutes. You're like a little bit out of breath. Yeah. And so those are just some ways that I do it, that I like to fit it in, just kind of differing a little bit from what you're doing or adding to. Some of the benefits of this that we are when we're fitting things together, obviously from a time constraint perspective, is like, I'm getting to have that interaction with my kids, and I'm getting some movement and some, exercise in. And neither of us actually mentioned is the cooking aspect of things. I don't do it as much as Brittany ends up doing it, but we've got these little like kid safe knives that are kind of like wavy, and then we've got these little wooden stands that they stand on by this counter over here, and they chop, and like they can legitimately chop with these kid safe knives, and it's very difficult to hurt themselves. So like, it gives them a little bit more autonomy, or like feeling of buying into the meal, right? But they just have a ball doing it, like chopping the things up, throwing ingredients in, getting to mix the spoon. Like, yeah, you're now combining the nutrition with the being a dad and being a mom. So that's something that neither of us failed, or we both failed to mention.
Yeah, that's a big one. I actually just did that this weekend. Caitlin was out, and so it was just me and him, and we just got those knives, and he's a little young to kind of figure it out. We have like ones that will Velcro together, that like a wooden knife that's not really actually sharp, and it like splits open. So like, he understands that. But we did just a meal prep, and Caitlin's birthday was today, so we made her cookies and stuff like that. And like, he can pour it in. So like, I'll get the flour and the measuring cup, and then he'll pour it in. So it's like, getting him involved in that. And I think even just, he likes to stand up next to this, like we have a similar stool. And just having him watch kind of what's happening and all that, like, I'll give him like spices, like spice containers, and he'll stack them and knock them over. Like, but he's still there watching. And so like, even if they're not actually involved or don't care initially, it's one of those things that the more you do it, like, they'll just kind of absorb it, and then probably want to start getting involved. I think that's super important to teach at a young age. I know I learned, and my parents taught me how to cook and all that. And it was simple meals. It was tacos and eggs and stuff like that. But that helps make cooking not a scary thing. And we talked about a ton before that, like, it's so much easier to eat better than it is to like start working out. So like the nutrition part and the food you eat will make a bigger impact than the exercise will. So it's definitely something, a good point.
Yeah, I don't
bringing the kids.
I don't know if it's made a difference for our kids, because they've just been eating, like, they eat better than I do, really, as far as like health wise go. But for a lot of kids, that buy into the meal, I think, I help make this. Now I'm part of this meal. It may help them to actually want to eat the food that help prepare. So like, if you're cooking healthy, like, get them involved, and now they're a little bit more apt to want to eat it. But it helps our bonding time. It helps us fit those things in, right? Fitting all these activities together, and it is part of modeling this healthy lifestyle to our children. And so that's a big component of why we do these things together, is that we're building our health and our wellness for ourselves, but so we can provide, and so we can be good, strong role models for these kids. So that's some of the benefits of fitting these activities together. And that's fun. Like, we should be having fun when we're exercising. We should be having fun when we're doing these activities, and by incorporating our kids into it, it gives us a benefit to having more fun. I was just talking to somebody on one of our free coaching calls yesterday, which we are doing some free one-on-one coaching calls for anybody that wants to be a part of that. They should be in the YouTube description here. But he was mentioning, like, I go to the gym, and I don't even want to go to the gym anymore. Like, I have no motivation. I have no desire to be there. I'm like, well, what can we figure out what other things that could we do to give you a little bit of pep in your step almost. You don't have to go to the gym. There's a lot of things, like I couldn't tell you when the last time I've been in a physical gym is. I just do a lot of stuff outside of it, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about, fitting all these things together. And do you have any other examples, maybe not fitting it into your kids, fitting it into your family, mashing things up? I have a couple off the top of my head. One I've actually mentioned on the podcast before, but do you have any that like you fit a couple activities together?
I mean, not particularly. I mean, I kind of compartmentalize the exercise portion, but I mean, no, I actually don't. So I would love to hear yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I'm a big fan of listening to audiobooks, and so I'm pointing over at the kitchen sink here, like when I'm doing dishes. I know it's not exactly nutrition, but it is related to it. Like when I'm doing dishes, I'll typically put an audiobook in, or like have it playing, or even when I'm just cooking. I'm not a big fan of listening to books while I'm working out. I think that the actual music, like especially something freaking high tempo, actually benefits you're working out. But the other one I've actually mentioned on the podcast before is, you have this like 2 to 3 minutes when you're brushing your teeth, and you're just typically standing there brushing your teeth. I've noticed a difference. I lift up a leg, and I actually get the leg as 90 degrees as I can. And so, yeah, it's not like crazy ab workout, but you are working on your balance. And as I'm 40, as I'm getting older, balance is a super important thing. So now I'm knocking out a balance exercise for just a couple minutes while I'm brushing my teeth, and I'll switch hands and do that. But it's just like a little way. I know it's kind of silly to think about, but when you do it and you notice it, like I notice a difference. When I haven't done it for a few days, it's more difficult to balance, and it's weird. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's like it's fitting stuff in. Like, right, it's always the time constraint is always the biggest thing, or it's the thing that people say, oh, I don't have time to do it, right? And part of that probably is like, I don't want to make time to it. I think that's most of it, right? I mean, I know whenever something comes up that I know I should do that I didn't do, I just say, oh, I just didn't have time today. When it's like, realistically, I just didn't make it a priority. So when it comes to fitness, combining things, especially with the family, that always helps too, because then everybody gets involved. It's fun, like all the stuff that we've been talking about. But when it comes to the time constraint, like just doing a little bit more than you're doing now, just doing that consistently and building that eventually will turn into something more. And you don't have to know exactly what that is, but starting with the balancing, or doing some push-ups between whatever meetings or whatever it looks like just doing something is better. And it's just a dial, right? Like I just think of a dial, like, hey, you don't go from a 1 to, like, you don't want to turn your speaker from 1 to 100, like it'll blow out, right? So you don't want to do that with your exercise or your nutrition or any of that. Like, what's the one level that I can turn it up? And if that's 5-minute walk around the office every day, cool, let's start there. So like just combining those things. Or if you're on a meeting, right? Hey, can you walk around and take that meeting or that call? Like, I know when I talk to my mom, I usually try to do it when I'm going for a walk. And that way, because we're on the phone for half an hour, I can do the walk. I'm not spending a half hour on the phone and then having to go for the walk anyway. So just like anywhere you can find that time is going to be super helpful.
Yeah, and like it's not about going from 0 to 100. We're not shooting for perfection right off the bat. We're shooting for like being able to integrate all these things into our lives and into our fatherhood and into our relationships. And a great way that we've done that is through our Facebook community, through our school community. Seeing the ways other dads are doing these things has been a big benefit. Like I got the brushing my teeth while doing the bouncing while brushing my teeth from a book that another dad recommended in the group. And like I would have not have probably read that book. It wouldn't have been on my radar, and I wouldn't have implemented this habit into my days and my nights. Well, my nights, yeah. So shameless plug there. Not shamed at all. It's our podcast. We get to plug whatever we want. You want to send us off? I know you got something coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday is the nutrition talks that I've been doing. Those are every other Thursday, so register for those. You'll get all the recordings and all that stuff. So they're half hour long. It's usually 15, 20 minutes of the talk, and then the rest of it's just any Q&A that we might have. This week we're talking about snacks and how to create healthy snacks and the importance of snacks and all the Cheez-Its and Goldfish.
Yeah.
So that's the topic this week. We've talked about different things like how to work around if you're really busy, like busy people, how do you deal with that, like meal prep and planning. And then we talk about protein and veggies and all the different categories. But typically they all come back to similar overarching themes of like, hey, let's eat balanced meals throughout the day and let's move and just work on slow consistency rather than extremes like we just talked about. So there's that. You've already mentioned the Facebook group that we have, the school community that we have, and we're on this podcast every Tuesday live at 7:30. So you can go back and watch all the previous ones. I don't know. We didn't put an episode number on this one. We're like 28 or something like that. So, you go back, watch it. We cover all things goals, mindset, everything like that. But that all being said, we mentioned the one-on-ones as well. We have 30-minute calls. We're giving people want to leave you with action steps. So if you need that, reach out to us. But we ultimately just want to provide actionable steps that you can start taking today to improve your health, fitness, whether that's nutrition, exercise, mindset, balance, all that stuff. Just anything you need to help.
Speaking of actionable steps, I want to leave you guys with this. Just pick one. It could be something that Zach and I mentioned, or it could be something that you think of out of the blue, something that you would like to do with your kids or your wife, and you can combine these two activities together and just do them for the next week. And if you cannot come up with anything that really fits into your schedule and fits into your lifestyle, hop into the call we're about to jump on. I hope that the link is in the description. If not, reach out to either Zach or myself on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll get you the link for that. And then hop in next week and we can talk about how it went for the week and maybe some actions, like what's turning the dial up to 2 or 3 now on our way to 100. We'll probably really never get to 100, but appreciate y'all for being here live or in the future. If you got any value out of this, please hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed to the Fit Fatherhood channel or Zach or my personal pages, do so. Later, y'all.